Question 1. What is the primary purpose of understanding the legal framework governing law enforcement activities in Minnesota? A. To circumvent laws and regulations for expedited case resolutions. B. To ensure compliance with statutory requirements and protect individuals' rights. C. To prioritize personal interests over legal obligations. D. To overlook legal procedures for efficient law enforcement practices. Correct answer. B. To ensure compliance with statutory requirements and protect individuals' rights. Explanation. Understanding the legal framework governing law enforcement activities in Minnesota is crucial for law enforcement officers to ensure compliance with statutory requirements and uphold individuals' rights. By adhering to laws, regulations, and procedural guidelines, officers can conduct investigations, arrests, and interactions with the public in a lawful and respectful manner. Knowledge of basic criminal law principles, the Fourth Amendment protections against unreasonable searches and seizures, and due process rights under the Fifth and 14th Amendments is essential for officers to safeguard constitutional rights while fulfilling their law enforcement duties. The legal framework provides a framework for ethical decision-making, promoting accountability, transparency, and the fair application of justice in policing practices. Question 2. How do conflict resolution strategies benefit law enforcement officers in handling challenging situations in Minnesota? A. Conflict resolution strategies are relevant in law enforcement interactions. B. Conflict resolution skills enable officers to escalate tensions in volatile situations. C. Conflict resolution techniques help de-escalate conflicts and promote peaceful resolutions. D. Conflict resolution methods prioritize aggression and confrontation over peaceful solutions. Correct answer. C. Conflict resolution techniques help de-escalate conflicts and promote peaceful resolutions. Explanation. Conflict resolution strategies play a vital role in law enforcement practices in Minnesota by helping officers de-escalate conflicts, reduce tensions, and facilitate peaceful resolutions in challenging situations. Through effective communication, active listening, and empathy, officers can diffuse volatile encounters, build rapport with individuals, and prevent escalations into violence or disorder. Conflict resolution techniques align with community policing principles, emphasizing the importance of building positive relationships, fostering understanding, and seeking collaborative solutions to disputes. By incorporating conflict resolution skills into their interactions, law enforcement officers can contribute to safer communities, reduce the use of force, and enhance trust and cooperation with diverse populations. Question 3. Officer Smith encounters a mentally distraught individual wielding a knife and making threats in a public setting. How should Officer Smith respond to this crisis situation to ensure the safety of all involved? A. Engage in a physical confrontation to disarm the individual and neutralize the threat. B. Attempt to communicate calmly and establish a dialogue to de-escalate the situation. C. Retreat from the scene and wait for backup support before intervening. D. Ignore the individual's threats and continue with routine patrol duties. Correct answer. B. Attempt to communicate calmly and establish a dialogue to de-escalate the situation. Explanation. In this crisis situation involving a mentally distraught individual wielding a knife and making threats, Officer Smith should prioritize de-escalation techniques to reduce the risk of harm and ensure the safety of all involved. By attempting to communicate calmly, establish a dialogue, and create a sense of rapport with the individual, Officer Smith can work towards peacefully resolving the situation without resorting to physical force. Crisis intervention training emphasizes the importance of active listening, empathy, and tactical communication in managing mental health crises and potentially dangerous encounters. By engaging in dialogue and attempting to diffuse the tension, Officer Smith can help stabilize the situation, protect public safety, and seek a peaceful resolution to the incident. Question 4. How do effective communication techniques contribute to building trust and rapport between law enforcement officers and diverse populations in Minnesota? A. Effective communication techniques hinder transparency and understanding in policing interactions. B. Effective communication fosters positive relationships, enhances community cooperation, and promotes cultural sensitivity. C. Effective communication is unnecessary for law enforcement officers when interacting with diverse populations. D. Effective communication prioritizes aggression and intimidation over establishing rapport. Correct answer. B. Effective communication fosters positive relationships, enhances community cooperation, and promotes cultural sensitivity. Explanation. Effective communication techniques are essential for law enforcement officers in Minnesota to build trust, establish rapport, and enhance cooperation with diverse populations. By utilizing active listening, empathy, and culturally sensitive approaches, officers can engage effectively with individuals from different backgrounds, languages, and communities. Clear and respectful communication fosters transparency, reduces misunderstandings, and promotes collaborative problem-solving between law enforcement and the public. Understanding cultural differences, nonverbal cues, and communication styles is vital for building positive relationships and demonstrating respect for diverse perspectives. Effective communication skills also play a key role in conflict resolution, de-escalation, and ensuring equitable treatment for all individuals in policing interactions. Question 5. What is the significance of maintaining physical fitness for law enforcement officers in Minnesota? A. Physical fitness has no impact on the performance of law enforcement duties. B. Physical fitness enhances officer safety, operational effectiveness, and overall health and wellness. C. Physical fitness is optional and not a requirement for law enforcement personnel. D. Physical fitness is solely focused on appearance and does not contribute to job performance. Correct answer. B. Physical fitness enhances officer safety, operational effectiveness, and overall health and wellness. Explanation. Maintaining physical fitness is essential for law enforcement officers in Minnesota to ensure their safety, operational effectiveness, and overall health and wellness. Physical fitness contributes to officers' ability to perform physically demanding tasks, respond to emergencies, and engage in defensive tactics as needed in the line of duty. A high level of physical fitness also supports officers' mental and emotional well-being, reducing stress, promoting resilience, and enhancing job satisfaction. Law enforcement agencies often establish physical fitness requirements and provide training opportunities to help officers maintain their fitness levels and readiness for the challenges of modern policing. By prioritizing physical health and wellness, officers can enhance their job performance, reduce the risk of injuries, and serve their communities effectively. Question 6. In the context of crisis management, what role do incident command systems play in coordinating law enforcement responses in Minnesota? A. Incident command systems are not relevant for managing crisis situations. B. Incident command systems provide a structured framework for organizing resources, delegating tasks, and managing emergencies. C. Incident command systems prioritize individual decision-making over coordinated responses. D. Incident command systems delay response times and hinder effective crisis management. Correct answer. B. Incident command systems provide a structured framework for organizing resources, delegating tasks, and managing emergencies. Explanation. Incident command systems play a vital role in coordinating law enforcement responses to crisis situations in Minnesota by providing a structured framework for organizing resources, delegating tasks, and managing emergencies effectively. These systems help establish clear lines of authority, communication protocols, and operational strategies to ensure a coordinated and efficient response to complex incidents. By implementing incident command systems, law enforcement agencies can streamline decision-making processes, enhance situational awareness, and facilitate collaboration with other response agencies. Training in incident command systems equips officers with the skills and knowledge to manage crises, prioritize public safety, and mitigate risks during emergencies, thereby promoting effective emergency response and crisis management in the community. Question 7. How can law enforcement officers demonstrate cultural competency and promote diversity awareness in their interactions with community members in Minnesota? A. Disregard cultural differences and treat all individuals the same regardless of their background. B. Acknowledge and respect cultural diversity, engage with community members respectfully, and adapt communication styles accordingly. C. Avoid engaging with diverse populations to prevent misunderstandings and conflicts. D. Assume that cultural competency is irrelevant in law enforcement interactions in Minnesota. Correct answer. B. Acknowledge and respect cultural diversity, engage with community members respectfully, and adapt communication styles accordingly. Explanation. Law enforcement officers in Minnesota can demonstrate cultural competency and promote diversity awareness by acknowledging and respecting cultural diversity, engaging with community members respectfully, and adapting communication styles accordingly. Cultural competency involves understanding and appreciating the values, beliefs, and customs of different cultural groups to effectively communicate and interact with diverse populations. By recognizing cultural differences, addressing biases, and embracing inclusivity, officers can build trust, foster positive relationships, and enhance cooperation within the community. Cultural competency training emphasizes the importance of recognizing and valuing diversity, promoting equity and understanding, and upholding respectful and non-discriminatory practices in law enforcement interactions. By incorporating cultural competency into their policing strategies, officers can better serve the needs of diverse communities and contribute to a more inclusive and equitable society. Question 8. Why is ongoing professional development essential for law enforcement officers in Minnesota? A. Professional development is unnecessary for law enforcement personnel once they complete basic training. B. Ongoing professional development enhances officers' knowledge, skills, and abilities, ensuring their readiness for new challenges and advancements in policing. C. Professional development is solely focused on individual career advancement and does not benefit law enforcement agencies. D. Ongoing professional development hinders operational effectiveness and slows down law enforcement activities. Correct answer. B. Ongoing professional development enhances officers' knowledge, skills, and abilities, ensuring their readiness for new challenges and advancements in policing. Explanation. Ongoing professional development is essential for law enforcement officers in Minnesota to enhance their knowledge, skills, and abilities, ensuring their readiness for new challenges and advancements in policing. Continuous learning and training opportunities enable officers to stay updated on emerging trends, best practices, and evolving laws and regulations in the field of law enforcement. Professional development programs cover a wide range of topics, including crisis intervention techniques, cultural competency training, conflict resolution strategies, and technology advancements, to equip officers with the tools they need to perform their duties effectively. By investing in ongoing professional development, law enforcement agencies promote organizational growth, employee engagement, and service excellence, thereby enhancing public safety and community trust in policing practices. Question 9. How does adherence to ethical standards and codes of conduct impact the credibility and trustworthiness of law enforcement officers in Minnesota? A. Adherence to ethical standards is optional and has no bearing on officers' credibility or trustworthiness. B. Upholding ethical standards promotes officers' credibility, fosters public trust, and enhances the integrity of law enforcement agencies. C. Ethical standards obstruct law enforcement operations and hinder officers' effectiveness. D. Compliance with ethical codes is irrelevant in maintaining organizational accountability and transparency. Correct answer. B. Upholding ethical standards promotes officers' credibility, fosters public trust, and enhances the integrity of law enforcement agencies. Explanation. Adherence to ethical standards and codes of conduct plays a significant role in shaping the credibility and trustworthiness of law enforcement officers in Minnesota. By upholding ethical standards, officers demonstrate integrity, honesty, and professionalism in their interactions with the public, colleagues, and stakeholders. Ethical conduct fosters public trust, enhances officer credibility, and strengthens the integrity of law enforcement agencies by promoting transparency, fairness, and accountability in policing practices. The Minnesota Board of Peace Officer Standards and Training, POST, requires officers to abide by ethical guidelines and conduct rules to maintain their certifications and uphold the ethical standards of the profession. By consistently prioritizing ethical behavior, officers can build positive relationships with the community, uphold the rule of law, and contribute to a culture of accountability and trust in law enforcement operations. Question 10. Officer Peterson responds to a call involving a traffic stop where the driver becomes hostile and uncooperative, refusing to comply with instructions. How should Officer Peterson de-escalate the situation to ensure a safe resolution? A. Use physical force to subdue the uncooperative driver and enforce compliance with instructions. B. Communicate calmly with the driver, maintain a safe distance, and seek to understand the reasons for their behavior. C. Disregard the driver's behavior and escalate the confrontation to assert law enforcement authority. D. Retaliate verbally to assert dominance and control over the uncooperative driver. Correct answer. B. Communicate calmly with the driver, maintain a safe distance, and seek to understand the reasons for their behavior. Explanation. In this scenario involving a hostile and uncooperative driver during a traffic stop, Officer Peterson should prioritize de-escalation strategies to ensure a safe and peaceful resolution. By communicating calmly, maintaining a safe distance, and seeking to understand the reasons for the driver's behavior, Officer Peterson can work towards diffusing the tension and addressing the underlying concerns. De-escalation techniques emphasize the importance of active listening, empathy, and non-confrontational communication to reduce the risk of escalation and promote positive interactions with individuals in distress. By engaging in dialogue, demonstrating empathy, and exploring options for resolving the conflict peacefully, Officer Peterson can uphold public safety, maintain professional conduct, and enhance trust and cooperation with the community. Question 11. In Minnesota, what is the legal framework governing law enforcement activities primarily based on? A. State Constitution. B. Federal Constitution. C. State statutes. D. Administrative regulations. Correct answer. C. State statutes. Explanation. In Minnesota, law enforcement activities are primarily governed by state statutes. These statutes outline the powers and responsibilities of law enforcement officers, as well as the procedures they must follow when carrying out their duties. State statutes cover various aspects of law enforcement, including criminal investigations, traffic enforcement, and public safety. It is important for law enforcement officers in Minnesota to have a thorough understanding of these statutes to ensure they are following the law in their day-to-day activities. Question 12. Which of the following is a key principle of ethics and integrity in policing? A. Non-accountability. B. Transparency. C. Inequality. D. Corruption. Correct answer. B. Transparency. Explanation. Transparency is a key principle of ethics and integrity in policing. It involves being open and honest in all interactions with the public, colleagues, and supervisors. Transparency helps build trust between law enforcement officers and the community they serve, as it demonstrates a commitment to accountability and openness. Upholding transparency in policing is essential for maintaining public confidence in law enforcement agencies and ensuring that officers act with integrity in their roles. Question 13. Mr. Smith, a police officer in Minnesota, responds to a domestic violence call involving a married couple. Upon arrival, he finds the husband physically assaulting his wife. What should Mr. Smith do in this situation? A. Arrest the husband immediately. B. Separate the couple and mediate the situation. C. Ignore the situation and leave the scene. D. Conduct a thorough investigation before taking any action. Correct answer. A. Arrest the husband immediately. Explanation. In cases of domestic violence, Minnesota law requires law enforcement officers to take immediate action to protect the victim and ensure their safety. This typically involves arresting the perpetrator, especially if there is evidence of physical assault or violence. By arresting the husband in this scenario, Mr. Smith is following the legal procedures outlined in Minnesota statutes for responding to domestic violence incidents. It is crucial for law enforcement officers to prioritize the safety and well-being of victims in such situations and take appropriate actions to hold perpetrators accountable for their actions. Question 14. What is the primary goal of community policing practices in Minnesota? A. To increase police presence in high-crime areas. B. To establish a militarized approach to law enforcement. C. To build strong relationships and trust with the community. D. To prioritize individual officer achievements. Question 14. What is the primary goal of community policing practices in Minnesota? A. To increase police presence in high-crime areas. B. To establish a militarized approach to law enforcement. C. To build strong relationships and trust with the community. D. To prioritize individual officer achievements. Correct answer. C. To build strong relationships and trust with the community. Explanation. Community policing in Minnesota aims to foster positive relationships between law enforcement officers and community members. By actively engaging with the community, addressing their concerns, and working together to solve problems, police departments can build trust and cooperation. This approach emphasizes collaboration, communication, and problem-solving to create safer and more inclusive neighborhoods. Question 15. What role do analytical reasoning skills play in law enforcement activities? A. They are not relevant to law enforcement duties. B. They help officers make informed decisions and assessments. C. They are used primarily for administrative tasks. D. They are important for physical fitness training. Correct answer. B. They help officers make informed decisions and assessments. Explanation. Analytical reasoning skills are crucial for law enforcement officers to assess complex situations, make informed decisions, and take appropriate actions. These skills enable officers to analyze evidence, evaluate risks, and determine the best course of action when responding to incidents. By utilizing analytical reasoning, officers can enhance their problem-solving abilities and effectively address challenges they encounter in their daily work. Question 16. Officer Rodriguez is on patrol duty in a residential neighborhood in Minnesota when he observes a suspicious individual attempting to break into a parked car. What should Officer Rodriguez do in this situation? A. Approach the suspect immediately and make an arrest. B. Notify backup and wait for assistance before taking action. C. Conduct surveillance to gather more evidence. D. Intervene to prevent the crime and apprehend the suspect. Question 17. How do conflict resolution strategies benefit law enforcement officers in handling challenging situations? A. They escalate conflicts and tensions. B. They help officers avoid confrontations at all costs. C. They improve communication and de-escalate conflicts effectively. D. They prioritize personal agendas over resolving issues peacefully. Correct answer. C. They improve communication and de-escalate conflicts effectively. Explanation. Conflict resolution strategies play a crucial role in helping law enforcement officers manage challenging situations by improving communication, reducing tension, and de-escalating conflicts. These strategies emphasize the importance of active listening, empathy, and problem-solving to address disputes peacefully and prevent escalations. By employing effective conflict resolution techniques, officers can build rapport with individuals, resolve conflicts amicably, and maintain a safe environment for themselves and the community. Question 18. What is the significance of physical fitness requirements for law enforcement officers? A. They are irrelevant to job performance. B. They ensure officers can perform essential job functions effectively. C. They only apply to specialized units within the police department. D. They are intended to discriminate against certain individuals. Correct answer. B. They ensure officers can perform essential job functions effectively. Explanation. Physical fitness requirements are essential for law enforcement officers to perform their duties effectively and safely. These requirements are designed to ensure that officers have the physical strength, endurance, and agility necessary to carry out law enforcement tasks, such as foot pursuits, defensive tactics, and emergency responses. Maintaining physical fitness helps enhance officer safety, job performance, and overall well-being in high-stress situations that may require physical exertion. Question 19. Why is cultural competency important for law enforcement officers in Minnesota? A. To enforce discriminatory practices. B. To prioritize one's own cultural beliefs over others. C. To understand and respect diverse communities and individuals. D. To isolate certain groups from police interactions. Correct answer. C. To understand and respect diverse communities and individuals. Explanation. Cultural competency is critical for law enforcement officers in Minnesota to effectively engage with diverse communities and individuals. By understanding and respecting cultural differences, officers can establish trust, communicate effectively, and address the needs of the communities they serve. Cultural competency promotes inclusivity, sensitivity, and fairness in policing practices, leading to stronger relationships between law enforcement and the community. It is essential for officers to recognize and embrace diversity to ensure equitable and respectful interactions with all individuals. Question 20. How do incident command systems enhance emergency response and crisis management in law enforcement? A. They create confusion and delays in decision-making. B. They prioritize individual actions over coordinated responses. C. They establish clear structures for effective coordination and communication. D. They limit the involvement of outside agencies in emergency situations. Correct answer. C. They establish clear structures for effective coordination and communication. Explanation. Incident command systems play a crucial role in enhancing emergency response and crisis management in law enforcement by establishing clear structures for coordination and communication. These systems ensure that all responding agencies, units, and personnel operate under a unified command structure, facilitating efficient decision-making, resource allocation, and information sharing during emergencies. By utilizing incident command systems, law enforcement agencies can streamline their response efforts, improve situational awareness, and effectively manage complex incidents to protect public safety. Question 21. Why is data analysis important for law enforcement officers in Minnesota? A. To manipulate information for personal gain. B. To ignore trends and patterns in criminal behavior. C. To make informed decisions based on evidence and statistics. D. To increase bias and discrimination in policing practices. Correct answer. C. To make informed decisions based on evidence and statistics. Explanation. Data analysis is essential for law enforcement officers in Minnesota to identify trends, patterns, and correlations in criminal behavior, crime rates, and public safety issues. By analyzing data effectively, officers can make informed decisions, allocate resources efficiently, and develop targeted strategies for crime prevention and investigation. Data-driven decision-making helps improve the effectiveness of law enforcement efforts, enhance public safety outcomes, and support evidence-based policing practices. Question 22. How does technology such as body cameras and dash cameras benefit law enforcement agencies in Minnesota? A. To violate individuals' privacy rights. B. To document interactions and incidents for transparency and accountability. C. To obstruct evidence collection and investigation processes. D. To promote unethical behavior among law enforcement officers. Correct answer. B. To document interactions and incidents for transparency and accountability. Explanation. Technology such as body cameras and dash cameras serves as valuable tools for law enforcement agencies in Minnesota to document interactions and incidents involving officers and the public. These cameras provide visual and audio recordings that can be used as evidence in investigations, court proceedings, and accountability measures. By promoting transparency and accountability, technology helps build public trust, enhance officer professionalism, and ensure adherence to ethical standards in law enforcement practices. Question 23. Officer Jenkins encounters a situation where a suspect is resisting arrest and becoming physically aggressive. What approach should Officer Jenkins take to handle the situation effectively? A. Use excessive force to subdue the suspect. B. Attempt to de-escalate the situation and gain compliance. C. Call for backup and avoid direct confrontation. D. Retreat from the scene and abandon the arrest. Correct answer. B. Attempt to de-escalate the situation and gain compliance. Explanation. In this scenario, Officer Jenkins should prioritize de-escalation techniques to defuse the situation and gain the suspect's compliance without resorting to excessive force. De-escalation involves using verbal communication, active listening, and tactical positioning to reduce tensions, manage resistance, and resolve conflicts peacefully. By employing de-escalation strategies, officers can enhance safety for themselves, the suspect, and bystanders while upholding the principles of professionalism and respect in law enforcement interactions. Question 24. How does ongoing learning and professional development contribute to the effectiveness of law enforcement officers in Minnesota? A. It limits officers' ability to adapt to changing circumstances. B. It promotes stagnation and complacency in job performance. C. It enhances skills, knowledge, and readiness for evolving challenges. D. It discourages collaboration and teamwork within police departments. Correct answer. C. It enhances skills, knowledge, and readiness for evolving challenges. Explanation. Ongoing learning and professional development are vital for law enforcement officers in Minnesota to enhance their skills, knowledge, and readiness for addressing complex and evolving challenges in policing. Continuous training, education, and skill-building opportunities help officers stay current with legal updates, technological advancements, and best practices in law enforcement. By investing in professional growth, officers can adapt to changing circumstances, improve performance outcomes, and deliver high-quality service to the community. Question 25. How do use of force policies help guide law enforcement officers in Minnesota? A. To encourage unnecessary aggression and violence. B. To restrict officers from protecting themselves in dangerous situations. C. To establish guidelines for safe and effective use of force. D. To prioritize excessive force as a first resort in interactions. Correct answer. C. To establish guidelines for safe and effective use of force. Explanation. Use of force policies provide law enforcement officers in Minnesota with guidelines and standards for applying force in a manner that is safe, necessary, and proportionate to the circumstances. These policies outline the types of force that are permitted, the escalation and de-escalation strategies to be employed, and the reporting requirements for incidents involving force. By following use of force policies, officers can uphold safety, professionalism, and legal compliance in their interactions with individuals, while minimizing the risks of excessive or unjustified force. Question 26. How does recognition of bias benefit law enforcement officers in Minnesota? A. It leads to discriminatory practices and treatment of individuals. B. It fosters inclusivity, fairness, and ethical decision-making. C. It promotes personal biases over professional obligations. D. It discourages self-awareness and accountability in policing practices. Correct answer. B. It fosters inclusivity, fairness, and ethical decision-making. Explanation. Recognition of bias is crucial for law enforcement officers in Minnesota to promote inclusivity, fairness, and ethical decision-making in their interactions with diverse communities and individuals. By acknowledging and addressing personal biases, officers can enhance their cultural competence, reduce prejudice, and provide equitable treatment to all members of society. Recognizing bias helps officers build trust, respect differences, and uphold professional standards of integrity and impartiality in their policing practices. Question 27. How does community engagement benefit law enforcement officers in Minnesota? A. By isolating officers from community members. B. By creating distrust and animosity towards law enforcement. C. By fostering positive relationships and trust with the community. D. By promoting segregation and division within neighborhoods. Correct answer. C. By fostering positive relationships and trust with the community. Explanation. Community engagement plays a crucial role in enhancing the effectiveness of law enforcement officers in Minnesota by fostering positive relationships and trust with the community. By actively engaging with residents, building rapport, and listening to their concerns, officers can establish a sense of partnership and collaboration. This leads to a more proactive approach to policing, where community members feel empowered to work together with law enforcement to address issues and improve safety in their neighborhoods. Question 28. Why is it important for law enforcement officers in Minnesota to receive cultural competency training? A. To reinforce stereotypes and prejudices. B. To promote discrimination and bias in policing practices. C. To enhance understanding and respect for diverse communities. D. To ignore cultural differences and preferences. Correct answer. C. To enhance understanding and respect for diverse communities. Explanation. Cultural competency training is essential for law enforcement officers in Minnesota to enhance their understanding and respect for diverse communities. By undergoing training that addresses cultural differences, historical context, and communication styles, officers can develop the skills needed to effectively engage with individuals from various backgrounds. This training promotes inclusivity, sensitivity, and fairness in policing practices, helping to build trust and improve relationships with community members. Question 29. How does de-escalation training benefit law enforcement officers in Minnesota? A. By encouraging the use of excessive force in all situations. B. By promoting aggression and hostile behavior. C. By providing officers with techniques to diffuse tense situations peacefully. D. By increasing confrontation and violence during interactions. Correct answer. C. By providing officers with techniques to diffuse tense situations peacefully. Explanation. De-escalation training is a valuable resource for law enforcement officers in Minnesota as it equips them with techniques to diffuse tense situations peacefully. By learning how to effectively communicate, use active listening, and employ non-threatening tactics, officers can reduce tension, manage resistance, and resolve conflicts without resorting to violence. De-escalation training emphasizes the importance of preserving safety, maintaining professionalism, and seeking peaceful resolutions in high-stress encounters, ultimately promoting positive outcomes and trust within the community. Question 30. How do ethical standards guide the behavior of law enforcement officers in Minnesota? A. By promoting dishonesty and misconduct. B. By prioritizing personal gain over public service. C. By establishing principles of integrity, honesty, and accountability. D. By endorsing discriminatory practices and bias. Correct answer. C. By establishing principles of integrity, honesty, and accountability. Explanation. Ethical standards play a fundamental role in guiding the behavior of law enforcement officers in Minnesota by establishing principles of integrity, honesty, and accountability. These standards define the expected conduct and moral responsibilities of officers in serving the public, upholding the law, and respecting human rights. By adhering to ethical guidelines, officers can build trust, maintain professionalism, and ensure transparency in their interactions with the community. Ethical standards promote a culture of integrity and ethical decision-making, fostering a positive reputation for law enforcement agencies and strengthening public confidence in their services.